Hey, good morning, guys. How are you doing? Siri Emerald here. Let's see if this thing's broadcasting. Looks like it is. My tripod is losing its ability to stay as a tripod. The head of it, the camera's flip-flopping around. Anyhow, as you've seen, I've got 5 figures all within the last week that I told you were going to be coming in, and so they all did. And so now I was inundated, a huge deduction from the wallet. But I didn't want to have to open this one up first. But because of the customization that happened in the shipping process, where it appears that someone actually decided to use this as a butt seat for this, I really want to open it up and see, because I don't think the Hot Toys box is supposed to be this small. So this is the one I really want to open. And of course, you know, this means sit on me. Most of us would interpret this to mean fragile, handle with care, but I guess other places it actually means this is okay to use as a seat while you're delivering product. So let's open this up and see what we got going on inside. I bought this originally when the first version of it came out and loved it. And when the second one was announced, I wanted it because of the drone and the new set of webbing that is included with it. But the difference between these two is, of course, the new set of webbing, and that it doesn't come with the head sculpt. So I sold the original one I had and kept the head sculpt, and made sure that the person that was receiving it understood completely and totally. And I was keeping the head sculpt, and they were fine with that. And so now I have, I guess, in my opinion, the best of both worlds. If the head sculpt doesn't truly, in fact, fit this figure. It has a new MMS number because it's a little bit different. So it's not a full-on reissue, unlike the Mark 43 when they reissued that, and the it was another one that they reissued and just kept the same MMS number. Don't remember if they did that with the 47. So, by the way, Hot Toys specifically states that a damaged box has nothing to do with anything. So if you ever have a damaged box, don't contact them and say, hey, my box is damaged, I want a new figure. That doesn't get you a new figure. My first Doctor Strange, well, the only Doctor Strange I have, my Doctor Strange that came had a damaged box on it. And it has a really neat box if you're familiar with that box. A little spinning lock on the outside of it. And so I literally bought a box. So thank goodness some of you guys throw your boxes away. So I was very pleased to have that. So it looks like on the outside of the box, the only thing I have here is a little bitty roll of this little sleeve is rolled up. There is quite a bit of compression here. And yeah, as they put all this in plastic inside of it, hopefully there's nothing beyond that in regards to that. This is a different box that I remember from the first one, because of course Far From Home was not a movie when the first one had come out. So for box collectors, of course, like I said, this that's damaged right there. Kind of pisses me off. I like how they did that effect in his helmet. That's pretty cool. Don't know if it's rainbowing. Yeah, See the rainbowing in it. It's pretty neat. It's not 3D. All the people responsible for the figure. Right there. This is nice. Now, of course, in the illusion sequence, which is when he's seen wearing this suit. In this suit, he does not battle the drone. So it's interesting that this is the suit that they decided to issue the drone with. And I imagine it's only to make you have to buy the suit. They've since then announced the release of the drone by itself. And there was also another company that was making drones, third-party company was making drones as well. So, that is how that happened or went down. But I'm trying a little different lighting. I don't have the top light on. I'm gonna turn that on now. Tell me if that makes it worse or better, or does anything at all to it. So just now turning on the top light. And I don't see any light flare on the screen either. I put my lights off to the side back there. Lighting's been a huge problem. It's always about light. With the invention of film capturing, it was the discovery of light burning onto silver imaging. So if you don't have enough light, you're not going to get a good image. And I've always known that. I was a professional photographer and professional videographer for many, many years. You would think I would know better, right? Actually, I do know better. Falls back under the category of, gee, do I spend money on lighting and studio equipment, or do I spend money on figures? Come on, all you hardcore collectors know where the money goes, right? Straight to the figures, man. Straight to the figures. Diego Valentin Peralta, hello, how are you? Hola. I see you are typing. Good morning. Ian, how you doing? I am well. CBS Sci-Fi, I am doing the Spider-Man. And let me get the head sculpt as well while we're at it. I've had him over here in the drawer. Oh, jeez. Just tipped over my drawer. Hopefully I'll be able to figure out what goes where. A bit of an emergency here. Just knocked 6 drawers of figure accessories onto the floor. The whole cabinet fell over, and 6 of them slid totally out. Hopefully there's enough difference in them that I can figure out which one goes where. It gets difficult when you start having Black Widow AOU with Black Widow Infinity War with Black Widow Civil War, and you don't know which hands go where, and that's when you have to start really figuring it out. So let's get the Spider-Man head sculpt here. Where's he at? Homemade. So here's the head sculpt. This is the only battle damage head sculpt that Hot Toys made of this Peter Parker figure. And that's why I held on to it. There was no other battle damaged head sculpt made by them. All the other head sculpts that you have are not battle damaged. Now, it's rare that I display a figure with the head sculpt when they have a cool looking helmet or a mask or whatever. But when I have multiple figures of the same thing, then I will be more open or willing to display the figure without the head, without his mask on, because the masked figures is the story. You know what I mean? That's what tells the story. They wouldn't, if they didn't want to wear a mask, they wouldn't wear a mask. Like Superman. So, but when you have multiples, taking the mask off, as long as the mask is, not that different from the others, you can still tell your story with the figures. And I'm hoping the drone is cool too, actually. So let's get back to the new figure. This is him in his packaging. And since they have this on top, I'll go ahead and do this first. This little digital display I thought looked cool in the images. It's real thin plastic. Look at that. Multiple pieces here. So you can build a 3D environment for that. And it's very pliable. It feels almost as the same material as this box is made out of. Feels like the same material, in case you're curious what this is. It literally feels like the same material, maybe even a thinner grade of plastic. Yeah, it feels like a thinner grade of plastic, but this is manufactured out of the same material as the case. It's not a hard rubber, it's not a thick plastic, real thin little piece of plastic. And I don't remember if any of the others came with this. So maybe if you're telling the story of the illusions, maybe put it across different. I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling at this point. And then this has little divots in it, little pockets that they put into it. So then, of course, these will snap into that. I'm wondering as I look at this, obviously it's the shape of the diamond shape figure base. No hole in it, so it must go underneath the figure base. We'll see. I anticipate everything else to be exactly like the original homemade suit, because if I remember correctly, when I was looking at the announcement of this, the only thing that I saw different again was the drone and the base, the lack of the battle damage head sculpt or any head sculpt for that matter with this figure, and the new electric web shooters. So you get the I don't know what these are really like. Just the Spider-Man hands. It's what he would be doing as he's like sticking to the wall. He's pressing himself to the wall. The fingers curl back on this, and you really only see this with the Spider-Man figures, if I remember correctly. Nobody else really does their hand like that. Now, what I would really like to see is if they're going to include hands like this, which I'm glad to have for Spidey, that they also included some real relaxed hands. I would like to see, in addition to the fists, in addition to the web swinging hands and the web shooting hands, just a set of relaxed hands. Because if I don't want to put them into a web swinging or a web shooting, I just want to have them chilled out. This is the closest you have to like a chilled out hand. You know what I mean? Or you just have him all fisted up, ready to, punch somebody, or he's enraged, or there really is just no chill out hand. And that's probably my biggest complaint on the Spider-Man figures is with all these action pose hands, I'd like to have just a relaxed, just a hand. You know, you hold your hand out, it's just there. It's just a how you put your hand out normally, just a hand, not grabbing anything, not just a relaxed hand. And so that would be one thing I'd like to see put into future Spider-Man figures, because sometimes you don't want to have them all just ready to go at an instance. I just want them relaxed, just chilling out. The Homecoming one, I you talking about the red and blue with the black on here, the new Spider-Man suit, same one he has in Civil War. I love that one. I got him right over there in the corner. I also have the movie premiere edition, the same one where they came with the yellow coat, and I have that one as well. I really wanted to get 5 of those, and because I wanted to have one because it's been in every movie. That suit has been in every movie that he has been in. So it's been in Avengers: Infinity War. It's been in Captain America: Civil War. It's been in Spider-Man: Homecoming. It's been in Spider-Man: Far From Home. And I'm trying to remember if it was in Endgame. I remember he had the Iron Spider suit, but I think it was in Endgame as well. So that's that's his main suit. That's the MCU main suit. The same thing like the classic red and blue that we've seen Spider-Man in for decades in the comics. So that can literally go with any uh, grouping of Spider-Man if you're displaying him with other characters, or if you're displaying him in a certain movie grouping, more or less. That's his standby suit. I love that suit. Toy Mafia, good morning. How you doing, man? I was wondering where you were. War Machine 6 arrived. Yep, I got him here. That was actually the one I wanted to open up. I wanted to get my I wanted to open up this War Machine 6 so badly. But like I said, I really wanted to check this guy out, make sure he was okay. Um, but what I think I've scheduled is I think I'm doing War Machine 6 next week, and then I'm going to do I think Black Widow in game, and then Hawkeye in game, and then Rocket from in game, and I should probably have some more figures coming from then, because figures that I have on order that I have not been told that are coming soon, but other collectors have received are Spider-Man 2099, Mark IV holographic, the Ant-Man has been shipped, Mark 47 reissue has been shipped, and Hot Toys announced 2 days ago that Wasp is now shipping, and she looks great. She looks amazing. It's taken forever and a day for that figure to come. Okay, this is different here. The little screw just fell right out that holds that in place. The figure base obviously is different than the Spider-Man homemade suit. Thank goodness I have nuts and bolts that come with these, but it just literally just fell clean out. I'm wondering if then there is a nut loose in here someplace. There's a nut loose in here. I wonder if there's a nut loose in here someplace. Jeez. And I don't remember, now that I'm going through it, if this came with the original homemade suit. I don't remember if these were what I consider, I call it the Todd McFarlane webbing, the wild, uncontrolled webbing. I love this webbing. It was ingenious when they came out with it. And the reason I call it the Todd McFarlane webbing was in my opinion, when Todd started drawing Spidey back in the 80s, I guess it was, or 90s, I don't remember, late 80s, I think, he gave the web its own life, more or less. It became part of the story. This uncontrolled webbing of web everywhere as Spidey's swinging about from the city, and he did just have globs of webbing just gripped up in his hands and everything. And I don't remember any of the other artists before that just having this uncontrolled glop of webbing just everywhere. And so I call this the Todd McFarlane webbing. So I was glad to see this in here. I don't remember if it came with the original homemade suit. The arc reactor light is pink. War Machine, they've tried to make that pink, a red for a long time. On many of them, they've colored the lens, and the difference. The problem with that is that red requires a lot more voltage in order to be a bright red than the normal 4.5 volts that a white LED produces. So in order to have a true red light, they really have to bump up the juice, which is going to burn the LED out because LEDs are only 4.5 volt load rated. I don't know how to make that so that it burns brighter. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes out, because it's almost impossible to make a true red LED that actually is illuminated more so than just anything. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I'm happy or sad or shocked or about the pink. The upgrade is going to look great, Jake. I agree. And it's funny, every War Machine that comes out, I'm just blown away again. And they end up being shifted. I bought another Hall of Armor. I don't know if you guys can see it. I think you can. All the way at the top above the original Hall of Armor, the Mark 7s, 1 through 7, is the War Machine armors. And I've got 2 more boxes in the back. So right now I have my Mark 3 diecast that I repainted into a Mark 2, which was to resemble the suit that Rhodey took, which Hammer then converted into the original War Machine, and then Tony took back. So I have kind of made it like an homage that let's assume that he just has his little museum or his little group of figures or suits that they keep there at the Air Force someplace or somewhere. So that's kind of what my story is here. And then I have all of the other suits that he's done. The Mark 1 is in the other room helping the Mark 6 Combat Whiplash Mark 2. So then I have the Mark 2, the Iron Patriot. So the first Mark 2 never made it into a movie. So that was a release that was not screen seen, but it was intended to be, I guess, because there was footage that they had to remove from the movie where they were talking about the Iron Patriot movie just being a figure, being a repaint of the original armor that it came from. So they removed that video. You can find it in the deleted scenes where they're talking about that. I think it's Joan Rivers that says it's the same suit, just painted a different color or whatever, talking about the Iron Patriot. So it was intended to be in the movie. There was a scene that is talked about in one of the comics that are tied to the MCU, where Tony literally takes the suit back and presents him with this suit of armor. So it's canon in regards to that goes, but it never screen seen. So then I had the Iron Patriot, and then the Mark II from the New Avengers, where he becomes the new Avenger. We see him in that suit. And then I have the Mark III, and then I have the Mark IV over here with the Avengers. So of course, when I get the Mark VI will take the place of the Mark IV, and the Mark IV will then go up there, and one more suit will be put up top. And I had to find a place to put the Hulkbuster because currently he is going to be scooted off to the side, and there's not going to be room for him up there anymore. So that's going to be cool. But every War Machine that comes out, I'm just like looking at a brand new figure again. I guess that's kind of stupid to say, but I just feel like, holy cow, look at this. This is neater than the most badass War Machine I've ever seen and everything. And then I totally forget, and I have to pull the other one out and say, oh, this actually was a pretty cool one. And it's so funny that the War Machines have that effect on me that I'm just blown away. Like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So I'm really excited about that War Machine. It really was the one I wanted to unbox today. We're all nuts in the hobby. Happy Saturday to you too, Robert. Thank you and welcome. Good seeing you, man. By the way, today is our wedding anniversary, my wife and I. And, when you've been with someone for a while, and you own everything that you've ever possibly really wanted, or can buy anything you ever possibly really wanted, or, in her situation where material stuff just isn't important anymore, when you take a break from life and you realize, hey, I never really missed that stuff or whatever, you know, gifts then are difficult to buy for somebody. Like the big question, what do you buy the person who has everything type of a thing, you know what I mean? So what we're going to do is we're going to cook dinner tonight. That's going to be our wedding gift for each other. And this is an accomplishment for her because this is the first time she's been in the kitchen since her cardiac arrest last August. So she's Italian. Her father is Italian. Her mother was English. Um, so she loves to cook, and she's an amazing uh, chef. She, I mean, hey, you don't get built like this because you're not eating. So it's been a passion of hers that she's just been not able to do since her cardiac arrest. She's not been able to get in there and cook. Imagine telling an Italian they can no longer cook anymore. You know what I mean? And so that's what we're going to do today. Our gift to each other is I'm going to assist her in the kitchen, and she's going to be cooking again. So it'll be the first time her doing any cooking in over a year, and we're really excited about that. But that is our gift, more or less, to each other. I bought her a beautiful bouquet of flowers, and of course, shower her with kisses and love. But I mean, that's when you've got nothing else, you can always do that. And we're just going to spend some great quality time in the kitchen together, and that's what we're going to do for our wedding anniversary. Here is the drone, and it's really neat. Um, I don't know if the single drone packs are shipping. I would love to buy that single drone pack too. I think it comes with a drone and then two smaller ones. I would love to have that. Uh, it would be a great accessory item to any of the Far From Home suits, Spider Monkey, the advanced suit, the standard homecoming suit, the homemade suit, because essentially in that movie we see all the suits. We see all five of the suits that he has in it. So you can essentially display any of those with this. You can put all of his suits in the Far From Home movie in a collection if you're posing the Far From Home set, because they were all brought to fruition in the illusion scene. And then, of course, with the Mark 46 zombie armor attacking him. So this looks really neat. They did a great job on it. It totally feels like it's made of plastic instead of resin, which I like. Resin would be a lot heavier. And I don't know yet because I've not looked at any of the instructions, or I don't view anybody else's videos until I've had a chance to view this. Because I always want to try to have a fresh look at it, a shock, a sense of awe and wonderment and love and appreciation for this figure with my first eyes. It's like seeing your bride show up in the aisle in her wedding dress. That's why they say, you don't. They say it's bad luck to see your bride in her dress before the wedding, but I don't know if it's bad luck or not, if you believe in that. But to see her for that first time in her wedding dress is an image that you'll never forget. So that's what I like about doing this. First impressions are everything. That's why I try not to look at anybody else's videos until I've had a chance to open up the box myself personally. That's how I like to do it. So I don't know. I'm assuming possibly that little hole there in the bottom of the him is what he rests on. But we also then have this. So maybe this slides somewhere in here. Yep, that's what does it. Simple as that. So keep in mind it doesn't lock in place. So you're going to have to keep it at a certain angle. You're not going to be able to angle it down. I take that back. Again, because I've not looked at this or read the instructions, there's a little bitty notch right there on the top of that. If you can see that, little big groove on the bottom. The notch locks into this little handle or whatever. Holds it perfectly fine. So you can angle it any way you need to, even upside down, straight down. It's going to support it well. That's good. So that's nice to see that it will actually lock in place. That's cool. Good thinking. Look at the size of this. It's a pretty good size. And of course it was, because he was able to be, he was standing on it, if I remember correctly, as he was bouncing around in the scene. Again, he did not directly fight a drone in this suit. Mysterio was more or less just taunting him when he was showing him all the suits. You can extra pair of wrist peg. You can never have too many wrist pegs. And we get the other eyes. I don't remember how many eyes came with the original set. I'm going to shake this and see if the nut is in here. No other shaking going on. So I'm under the impression then that when Hot Toys packaged this figure, they put the screw in it and the nut didn't make it. That's why the screw fell totally out when I took it out of the box. So there's a loose nut at Hot Toys assembly line. Oh, the nut just hit the floor. So it was evidently stuck in between this and the little groove in here. So I have a magnet that I roll around to pick up sharp pieces of metal that find their ways to the floor. So I will roll that and find that and go from there. I don't like it whenever they put the attachments without a bottom and they only sit in here for like these little eyes, because sometimes I like to keep the little eyes in their little thing and stick them in the box and just keep them together like that. So obviously in this instance I don't have the bottom to this, so the eyes will just be floating around in here that I'm not using in the box. See if there's anything else I'm forgetting. So I really enjoyed this figure when I originally had him. There was another Spider-Man suit that I bought that I've never displayed because when it arrived I was extremely disappointed in it. It was made by a third-party company and it was the wrestling suit that he wore in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. And they sold it as red and blue, and the pictures was obviously red and blue, just like this. And what came was orange. So I'll show you to you because I think I've got it in here. And it just really pissed me off that that was how they delivered it. Instead of the red, where's it at? That the picture shows that it should have been. So I've never put this on him. You can see the color of it, but it's supposed to be a representation of the suit that he wore when he first took his powers to become Spider-Man and went to the champion to wrestle the guy for money to buy a car. Was the original story. I don't remember what it was in the movie, but even the Nikes came orange, and it's not supposed to be orange. It's not supposed to be an orange suit. It's supposed to be red, and they painted everything orange, and that's kind of, it just really pissed me off, and so I never put it on him because it's not orange. Spider-Man's red and blue. So that is that. It's the only other Spider-Man suit that I have that I just never used. Just really just pissed me off so much. Red was the color of the gosh darn thing when you order it. Orange is what they send you. No way. Jake, congratulations. Good day for marriage, isn't it? I hope you've had a wonderful relationship in the years that you've been with your wife, and I'm happy to hear that. It's nice to celebrate with you. It's nice to celebrate with you. Of course, last year our wedding anniversary was celebrated in the hospital. Um, so that was no fun. But at least she was awake and alive and fully cognizant of her surroundings and where she was and who she was at that point. She had a cardiac arrest, and that's when your brain shuts your heart down. Heart attack is when your heart shuts everything off or stops beating properly. Cardiac arrest is when your brain says, "Okay, stop the heart," and that's not fun. All right. So, by the way, it says don't remove the suit. It's non-detachable. Don't try to take it off, otherwise it may get damaged. So, customizers, we know whenever we start doing something like that that there's a point of no return. So keep that in mind should you ever decide you wanted to customize the figure. Is that there's going to be something that you're going to end up doing to it that's going to make it unreversible for the most part. So you just have to work around that and then proceed forward. So one of the things, if you are scared of damaging your hot toy, don't try to customize it. You definitely have to be ready to accept the fact that there's going to be a point of no return. So continue on with it at that point. It says don't bend the arms and legs excessively outward, otherwise the figure will be damaged. So there's something going on here that they have felt that if you bend it too far, you're going to break or rip something. So keep in mind, in excessive posing, you're being warned on this. And I wonder myself a lot of times if after they develop the figure, they have the prototype figure, if they don't like give it to a room full of kids and see what kind of roughness and toughness that it is. I have no idea. I'm just assuming that maybe they do that. And that's how possibly they come up with all the little areas and talking about how paint will chip if you press it here, or don't bend it like this because you'll break it or whatever, because possibly the Iron Man figure would have come back with a big old chip paint out, or some kid, yanked the arm around or something. I really don't know. I don't have any idea what their testing is in regards to how to determine how durable the figure is or where the areas of concern are. But I do know whenever they do say something like that, there's a reason for them to say it. Three eyepieces are interchangeable. Be careful with taking out the pieces. Do not use excessive force. And they are magnetized. Real easy to come on and off. We have normal vision, a little bit more open, and then slit. So you get three sets of eyes all the way down from a little slit. This is the normal eye. And this one is the open eye, and it's not much more open. We get the standard webs that they've included with Spider-Man from day one. Even the Tobey Maguire Spidey comes with these webbings. So I have lots of these, and essentially it's two of the web balls coming out as he first shoots his webbing, and then 2 straight lines, which are great for posing, and then the 1 standard fist line, which was all we had forever until they came out with, again, as I was showing you earlier, the Todd Mcfarlane webbing. And then we have the new ones. And to tell you the truth, I don't remember in the movie if he's in this suit shooting this web. So I'm going to assume that he didn't shoot this web in this suit. I'm going to have to look at the movie to see if this webbing came out of this suit in the movie. But the good thing is that the webbing can be put in any figure. They all have the same input. Even the third-party figures, Spider-Gwen and Miles Morales, that came from Young Rich Toys for the Miles Morales, and Bullet Head, I think, made the Spider-Gwen, the Miss Stacy, so they can fit in that. Now, here's the problem with, speaking of the Miss Stacy, the in the movie Into the Spider-Verse, she didn't have any web shooters on, so you have to stick these just underneath her arm. So there's no web shooters that she wears. So keep that in mind when posing your Spider-Gwen from the movie. She's not wearing any web shooters. You don't see anything there. There's nothing visible. So when I put the webbing on her, I just shove it under her arm. I'll show you. This is the Bullet Head Miss Stacy. Love this little figure. And I don't think she came with the Todd Mcfarlane webbing either. And if I remember correctly, I think I had to customize this. I had to knock a hole in it to get this in there in order to be able to do that. But I just stuck it in her sleeve because she didn't have any webbing at all in the movie. No web shooter in the movie. But when I fastened her, I put the web shooter on her because it's a different Spider-Gwen, right? Okay, one thing that they say in regards to this web, they show in this picture, and I disagree with this picture, and I'll tell you why. They show in this picture that you're supposed to pull it from the bottom to get it through the hand. And I will tell you, on more than one occasion, I have broken it pulling it through here, broke this piece clean off. They also say, do not push it from the top. So I will tell you with that, on one of them, I've broken it, pushing it on the top. So my biggest recommendation, if you decide to use this web shooter, is to make sure that the hole is big enough to accept the webbing. All right. If you have to heat the hand up in some water to get it pliable, if you have to run a file or something in there to make it bigger to accept it, do that. If you encounter any force putting it in here, where this one goes in very easily, by the way, if you encounter any force getting it in there, stop. Don't pull it. Don't shove it hard. Don't force it in there. You will break this little webbing. There's no doubt about it. But this went in very easy. There was no restriction at all going in there. So, you know, kind of like how I say, these come with just about every single Spider-Man. This packet of webbing, these 5 webs do. So I've got plenty of them, but I have 2 or 3 of them that are broken either on the bottom or at the top. So be careful with these. By all means, please be careful with them. But this one easily goes in and out. No difficulty at all on that. They were way ahead of the game, but some of them are so tight you can't get it in there. And then you're pulling it on the bottom, snaps clean off. Pushing in the top, snaps it in half. So be aware that that is totally possible on Spider-Man figures, and it'll totally torque you off when you do that. So they say do this, don't do that. I say make sure the hole is big enough to accept the webbing. The arms and legs can be raised within 90 degrees. The forefeet can be raised slightly in the indicated direction. So there's the limitations of the suit in regards to how far to move it. And that's all they show. So keep that in mind in the posing of your figure. Now, on these poles, and this one appears to be a little bit thicker than some of the others. It is thicker than some. What they've done is they started this, I think it was with this, one of the Spider-Man figures. So before you would screw this off, and then there was a post that it would sit on, okay, and that was the furthest that it could go down on. So I think it was with Spider-Man. It was this is the first one that I remember seeing on. They made them so these can be slid up and down. So they really don't lock in place ever. No matter how tight you put this, there's always going to be some sliding down of it. It's never going to sit right exactly where you want it. So it's a neat feature for, in instance, this where you have multiple pieces, and or when you want to be able to sometimes just use this to stand the figure only, you can still use this and slide this holder down more to get it around his waist. So it has that effect where it's a dual purpose. So in contrary, if you use the one that doesn't have this slide ability, he literally is confined to the very tip top of it. And in order to get him onto the ground, like I've had to do to some of the Mark 7 pieces that came with the longer poles, but I still wanted to support the figure, you'd have to angle and bend this to get him down to the ground. So with these, you don't have to do that. You would just slide this down further. So the advantage is that you can put him into a flight pose, or in this instance, you can put multiples of these, so you can have him, if you so desire, standing on it or something to that degree, and be able to use both of these on here. I'm assuming is why they built this with this as such. So you could put it down a little lower and then pose him up above it, standing on it, crouching on it, or whatever in that regards. I'm gonna get his little plastic off his feet here in a minute. I just wanted to put him into a quick crouching / kneeling position. To give you an indication of how you could potentially pose that. Okay. But what I don't like about these is no matter what, you can't 100% lock them in forever. Sure, friction is going to, the downward force on this as it causes it to angle into it is also going to keep it from sliding down this rubber, and this rubber here. This is a little rubber piece that they put onto the hard plastic. This is a little rubber piece here is that they put onto this. It is going to work in conjunction with each other as the weight of this pushes down. It's going to keep it from sliding down, But in all truthfulness, it will eventually, over time, slide down. You cannot get it tight enough to keep that from ever sliding all the way down. It doesn't lock it in place. So with this not being a die cast piece, that's great. You're not going to have to worry about it. There's not a lot of weight pushing down on it. If they were to do this with a die cast piece, that's insane. And it's so funny. When the die cast pieces first came out, they said to always use a rigid pole to pose them because of the weight of them. And the next thing you know, they start giving us the little wire crotch grabbers. And it's like, didn't you guys say literally in the first die cast figures, never use the wire crotch grabbers on these figures? And then that's what they started including with a lot of them. And it kind of made me curious what the hell they were doing. What the hell they were doing. Well, I almost wish what they would do with this, instead of including this in it, was if they'd made I don't know, a larger base or something where we could have the two of them in here, have them fighting against it, or a second base or something. Maybe that's why they ended up making the second drone. So I don't know how or what I'm going to end up posing this drone, but specifically, I wanted the drone, was why I reordered this and sold the first one. I sold my original Mark 47. I'm out hella, so I needed to pay medical bills after my wife came out of the hospital. This figure I literally sold just because I wanted to buy this, and I didn't need, in my opinion, two of the homemade suits. So that was why I bought this specifically, was for the drone. And the blue webbing. So let's get these little hands off here. And Ali Choppa, welcome. Thank you. By the way, the fires that we have in California, California catches fire every doggone year. Has forever. Because of piss poor management of the force. And the argument that the politicians have in regards to the piss poor management of the forest is they shrug their shoulders and say, hey, it's federal forests. The federal government should be managing them. Hey, I've got maybe some opinion on that. They may be right. But when the fire catches your town on fire and burns your house down, shrug your shoulders and say the government should have done something. You know, there's a point when the state should be doing something else. Anyhow, the skies were orange here pretty much all of last week from the dust and the smoke from all the fires. And it reminded me, well, not really reminded me because I've never seen it in my real life, images from movies and NASA photos of Mars. And it makes me think that that would be what the sky would look like if you lived on Mars. That was pretty cool. You know, literally the sun would be right in the sky, and all you would see would just be an orange disk. There'd be no radiating sunlight, or it didn't bother your eyes to look at it because it was totally filtered from all the dust and smoke in the sky. So the fires are in our area are getting under control because now the sky is blue again. I've had a lot of close personal friends lose in the years previous, and even in this year's fires, lose their homes, lose their dogs, lose their cars, lose everything. Um, so it pisses me off when the state won't take responsibility for the fires. And this year they're blaming um, climate change for the fires. The fires are started either by lightning or by people. Carelessness. It wasn't global warming that started the fire. The forest just didn't spontaneously erupt. So, I'm trying to move the little toes up. Wow. Okay, this is cool. I don't remember this in the first figure. Maybe it was there. I'll have to check the videos. The suit, the shoe, you see, there's no break in it whatsoever. Okay, but you hear that? It does go up, and there's, if you notice, a slight little toe rise there on that. So this is flat, and there's a slight little toe rise. That's neat. And I don't remember whether or not the first suit had that. You don't even see it. You can't tell that it's even there. Good job. Good job. Really good job. So there's full on ankle pivot, which is really important for Spidey. You want to be able to get his feet into different positions. So there's a good, beautiful, full on ankle pivot here, which assists in some of his landing poses. Good job. Real good job. I don't remember. And some of the, I want to look more. Just, I don't want to unzip him if he's not to be unzipped. There's no more talk of the suit here. Let's check the zipper. I can't tell if it'll go all the way down with and separate. I'm not going to attempt to do that. I have no intention of removing this vest from him, this sweater, this sweatshirt vest. It will stay on him, but it does unzip, as you can see. I didn't continue pulling it down further, but it does zip and unzip for your posing needs. I have a pair of tweezers that grip better. Let me get those. Zipping back up. The drone is going to be an amazing addition. And I fully intend one day to be able to buy the drone accessory by itself as well. With all of these figures dropping right now, it really has cut into my budget hugely. And there are so many figures that are being announced now. My goodness, so many third party figures as well. Um, it's like when people get frustrated that I don't have a lot of Star Wars figures or a lot of the DC universe to talk about and review. Holy smokes, man! When they release, like, it seems 50 figures of Marvel figures in a year, or whatever it is that they're announcing and dropping, you know, how can you possibly collect anything other than one franchise at a time? Unless you're just collecting different representations of such. So essentially, I'm collecting every single Marvel it seems that they've made, and that's not even true because I don't have very many, if any, X-Men that I'm thinking of. I'm sure I got an X-Men or two figure in here, but just staying on the Marvel, the MCU, and the Spider-Man universe is enough as it is, let alone trying to collect Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman and Aquaman and the Power Rangers and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Predator and all the Star Wars with all the, gosh, there must be easily 100 different stormtroopers. You can really get overwhelmed real quick. But speaking of, Lando Calrissian has been announced. Looks wonderful. Billy D. Williams from his original portrayal of Lando, and I believe a new Boba Fett has also been announced. So I don't think either of those. No, wait. I think both of them are available for pre-order. They look great, and I wish I had the ability to collect all the Star Wars too, because I am a Star Wars fan, especially the original first three, which is now called 4, 5, and 6 of that trilogy, especially those. But I'm limiting myself to what Star Wars that I have, which really cuts into everything else as it is. There's no wire in the hood, so you can't give the hood life. You know, if you decide you want to put the hood up over his head, you can, okay? But it doesn't have a wire in the front. I assume it's something that you could do. I'm sure you could easily slide a wire up in through here if you wanted to give it that life. But there's not much movement of it in the first place. Unlike, for instance, Miles's hoodie, the um, Scarlet Spider-Man, the Spider-Gwen, you know, they have a lot more hood there, and so it's easier to give the hood life, to have it open in the wind or pose it around. So there's not much room here for movement of the hood on that. So keep that in mind. I think I would put the helmet on if I were going to be using the hood up, if I were going to be using this. And I might do that nonetheless. So just pops clean off. I didn't hear it pop, but it feels pretty sturdy on there. There he is with the original homemade suit, battle damaged Tom Holland head sculpt. Of course, fits perfectly. And I wish that I had the other suit now so I could do a side by side comparison. At the time, you know, I was having to sell figures to pay medical bills, and you know, space is obviously always a consideration. But now I'm literally back to the opinion of I wish I had every single figure again. So I now want to seek out that original homemade suit again, specifically though for comparison, to see what I don't remember and what changes, if any, they made to the two different figures. I should have watched my old video before doing this. That's what I should have done. I should have done my homework. Butterfly joint in the shoulder. He feels pretty, you know, Spidey is flexible. Tom Holland is freaking gymnast to himself. So it's good to be able to get him into these different poses. I don't feel the ability to go out beyond that, by the way. And I don't feel the ability to go backwards more than that, by the way. 40 goes all the way up to here. So if you wanted more flexibility, you might want to consider feistening him, which of course, you know, the suit isn't designed to come off. So they claim. So keep that in mind. I don't see anything restricting the suit. There's just no zippers. So I can't imagine it can't come off. They recommend not taking it off. But the red suit does not seem to be attached to the blue undershirt. Feels like it'll come clean off. They have a black undergarment on underneath him there. I love the detail of the homemade web shooter. Did a great job with that. Stands on his own well. Nice, good, solid joints. Many figures, mostly from third-party manufacturers, wind up with loose joints. Sometimes Hot Toys figures do as well. You get the splat. Again, it's part of the all-included forever Spider-Man webbing. I mean, that's the exact same splat that they've used for, gosh, 12 or 15 years or however long it's been that they've been making Spider-Man suits through Hot Toys. And then, of course, you have his little fingertips through there. And you can see the actuation button for the spider web. And the good old I love you web shooting hands. So let's get this digital display built. 16 Cave, how are you doing, man? I'm having a good weekend so far. Yeah, this is a great figure. I loved my original one. I displayed him proudly. Keep in mind this cloth of this suit is a dust magnet. So if you are posing him outside of an enclosed case, he's going to get dusty easily. So I want to advise you, if at all possible, when collecting this figure, because of this material of this suit, to get him in a place where he's going to be sheltered from the dust as much as possible. And if you don't have that ability, yeah, you got to do what you got to do. So, but he is a dust magnet. This cloth is a dust magnet. Keep that in mind. And remember, he doesn't come with this head sculpt. This is from the original. This is what he comes with here. And it is posable. That would be looking down. And that would be looking up. So not much down and up movement there. But because this is also pivoting, you would be able to pivot that as well. So, but it is an articulated head on a neck. I like his little ears in there. Makes me wonder what's underneath this. Dare I look? I dare not. God, I'm so curious what's underneath this. Let's see how these digital displays go on. Pixelated pieces go on there. Okay, so 100%, this can go with any one of these, or all by itself. There's little screws in the bottom of these, and they screw them together. And it appears that they 100% line up. So they'll possibly even snap in place. I don't want to put him in there yet because obviously these pieces go into those holes as well. But on any of these, here's a Iron Man Mark IV display base. Has those same screw holes in them. So they're interchangeable. And if you don't want to use this display stand, you want to use a crotch grabber, all you have to do is unscrew the little screw that's underneath here. Or you can just say F the screw and just get a, a sharp knife or whatever and pry it off. But these will come out, and then you can put one of the crotch grabbers that uses, where did I just put them at? Those holes to go into it. So you don't have to use this pole if you happen to have the crotch grabbers from this. And you can use a crotch grabber with them. And again, you can put this underneath your Far From Home Spider-Man or your Advanced Suit Spider-Man or the regular Homecoming Spider-Man and move this pixelated piece around any way you so desire, because it's interchangeable with any of these figure bases if you happen to have this figure base with that figure. So what do we have here? 5 pieces. Take them all out. It really looks cool. Trying to remember. I think the Mark 46 Illusion comes with this also. And does Mysterio come with something like this as well? Don't remember from the pre-order announcement. Neither of those figures are shipping yet. I'm really excited to see the Mysterio. Mysterio was planned all the way back from Tobey Maguire. He was supposed to be in the 4th installment of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans. They had initially planned, Avi Arad had planned for 5 of those Tobey Maguire movies. But Spider-Man 3 was a bust. They really made some poor decisions in the creation of Spider-Man 3. Topher Grace, I think, is who it was that played Venom in that. And I think it was a poor choice of Venom. I think the new Venom that they have, I forget his name now, the actor who's playing Venom in the new Sony Venom stories is a much better choice for Venom than what Topher was. No offense on Topher, I just think it wasn't what the Venom that we were raised with. If I remember correctly, Eddie Brock in the comics was an Olympic weightlifter. So he would be as big as like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And Topher Grace is not an Olympic weightlifter caliber character, I'm sorry to say. So that and the whole Tobey Maguire trying to be the bad guy, the little greasy hair and all that, and the stupid dance and everything. It was just a poor movie. It really wasn't done well, and that pretty much put an end to 4 and 5. But the 4th movie was supposed to include Mysterio, and it was supposed to have Bruce Campbell was going to be playing Mysterio. Bruce was actually related to the people in charge of the first 3 Spider-Man movies way back then. If you remember, he was in all of the other movies. He was the guy that was, he named Spider-Man as the wrestling announcer. He defeated Spider-Man by keeping him from getting in to see Mary Jane perform on stage, as he was the guy at the doors of the playhouse that she was at. And he foiled Spider-Man because he was the maitre d' at the restaurant where he was trying to give her the ring. So he was in the whole story of Spider-Man as he was going around as a pivotal character. And so in the 4th movie, somehow they were going to use all that as part of him being why he was constantly having to look for a job and whatever else, and blaming Spider-Man for this and that, whatever else. I don't know how they would have played it out, but he was supposed to be in the 4th movie as Mysterio. By the way, little old back note there, 2 things. In case you all didn't know that. Oh, and speaking of, so there are some rumors that the Black Widow movie is going to be pushed back. Remember, it was supposed to be the May release. There's normally a May release for Marvel movies, and Black Widow was supposed to be the May release, but because of COVID, they pushed it back to November. And I think initially they said October, then it got pushed into November. But now they're thinking they need to push it back again. And when they pushed it back the first time, that pushed everything back. So it taken the fall release, the fall movie got pushed into the spring release, the spring movie got pushed into the May release. So now there's some unconfirmed rumors that are circulating around that Black Widow is going to be pushed into spring. Now the problem with all of that is, as these actors and actresses are put under contracts that they have to maintain a certain appearance or body style, or they can't perform certain dangerous sports and activities because they don't want to injure themselves. It's going to start costing Hollywood a little bit more money to keep these actors and actresses in retainer for upcoming movies that are coming out. So it's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out. I'm really looking forward to the Black Widow movie, for real. I'm really looking forward to the Black Widow movie, and it's done. The movie's done. It's in the can. It was supposed to be out. It's not like they are still filming it, unlike some of the other movies that they may be working on or plan on working on. But the whole franchise now is kind of being pushed back in regards to all of that. So I don't know whether or not Black Widow will be out in November, so don't be surprised if it's not. Okay. So what they show is the biggest one is A, and I'm going to see, I don't know if there's anything on here that says A. But the biggest one is A. The triangle one is B. That kind of looks like a triangle. C is the one with the wider bottom of these two. This one is E, and this one is D. And so the way that they then show it going on this is in order, with this being D on the flat. You have A, B, C, D, E. You can arrange it however you want in that regard. It's yours. If you want to move the pixelated pieces around and make them different, you're more than welcome to do as you so desire. Most of them only have just one hole on them as it is. But that is the way that they designed it. And it says, fold the pixelated effect accessories in the directions as shown. Attach accessories to indicated sections according bottom of the base. A and B at the back of the base. C, D, and E in the front of the base is indicated. Attach the base cover to complete the setup. So it shows A and B because they are in the front. You're going to want to fold those backwards. So the picture it shows actually, though, it folding this way, which doesn't make any sense. So if this is, oh, okay, no, that does make sense. Totally. This goes in the back. So you want to fold it forward. So you've got the textured piece in the front. The indented piece is the back. And you want to fold this to the front. And I got to tell you, man, as soon as you do, it makes a white little line in there. So you don't want to keep bending this. You'll snap it clean off. So bend it once and be done with it. So that's A on its piece. And then they show B going here, which is the triangle one. This one. So we will bend it forward also. And sure enough, there's that white line forming. So you do not want to bend this much more than what is absolutely needed. So if you decide you want to pose it differently than their recommendation, make up that mind before you start bending them. If you decide you want to put these in the front instead of in the back, you're going to want to make that determination before bending it. Okay. And C, of course, is the one with the longer bottom. This one is E, and the smaller one is D. So for C, D, and E, they go in the front. So you want to have the outward and bend this backwards. So we're bending the smaller ones opposite than what we've bent the bigger ones. And they go on these knobs pretty securely with some effort. This is D, which goes in the very front. So again, we're bending the textured portion goes forward. The indented piece goes to the back. Bend it in that direction. Megatron! What's up, everyone? Just now joining. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's Spidey looking? He looks great. The drone is amazing. I think the drone looks great, which was really the whole purpose of buying this figure myself. I already had the figure originally, and when they announced this one was coming with a drone, I wanted a drone so bad I sold the original one to get the drone. And the drone looks amazing. The other neat thing about the figure is the toe bends without any crack in the foot. Now the head sculpt came with the original. You don't get a head sculpt at all with this release of this figure. And then again, the final one, pixelated. The go out, you want to bend it backwards. This is E. Get that one all the way. Thought I'd pushed it down far enough, but obviously I had not. This one doesn't want to stick too well. So there they are on the piece. Okay. You see, I don't have them necessarily straight up and down. And I don't know, maybe this is supposed to be as such, but just keep mucking with it, I guess, if you need to pose them to be more up. But then again, like I said, keep in mind, these are real thin plastic and you will eventually snap them off if you play with them too much. These two pieces here on this end, this far end over here, they are not wanting to stay on there that well, but that's fine because as soon as we put this over it, they will stay. just pressing them right into the screw holes on the bottom of that figure base. Locked in there well. Let's get that one in there. It's not locked in there. There we go. And I might find at a later date that I want to put these on to a different figure and not this one. I might want to put them with the advanced suit or the Spider Monkey suit. Spider Monkey. Surprisingly, this is a little more wobbly than I remember on some of the other figure bases. I don't remember this being so loose. It's broken. But that's cool. There you can see the little screw. All they do is glue that on. So you can just glue that right in there. Model cement or super glue. So I will be able to do that. But you can see the little screw that holds that in place. And the little holes that I was talking about, so you can put the crotch grabber in there. So no, it's not supposed to come out like that, by the way. So much for Hot Toys quality. That was a term. That was a term that was used to show the amazing detail and quality that Hot Toys put into their figures. It's not so much necessarily the case anymore. Actually, never really was. There's always something that slips through the cracks someplace, right? And here we've had a couple of them. The nut slash bolt on this holder for the drone, and now, of course, they didn't glue this piece together on there properly. So there's the drone. And because it's not glued in there, it's not holding up very well. But here he is kind of posed on that. And again, like I said, in the movie, he's not posed. This suit does not appear with the drone. So you're not going to hurt anybody's feelings by posing him on it or not posing him on it, because it really was never seen in that manner. Make up your own story as you pose your figures in your collection, right? But these two pieces are a welcome addition to my collection. 100%. I think they look great. Really like the drone. Real neat accessory. So I will mess with that. Um, I have to figure a few things. I'm going to have to figure out if I'm going to pose them with this, if I want to pose them with one of the other suits, if I want to pose it all by itself. Don't know yet. But he will find its home in the Detolf there. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. The hoodie up. Spidey with his hoodie up. I don't remember if we ever seen that either in the movie, with his hood up over his head or even over the helmet. You guys remember? Did he ever do that? He's definitely a collector's piece in regards to that. If you dig this suit, you're going to want him. If you are just the occasional Spider-Man collector, he may or may not fit your desire. I always say buy the figures that you love. If you don't have an emotional attachment to them, don't waste the money on them. I mean, you're looking at $200+ for this, and if you don't have any attachment to them, you're going to resent the entire time owning them, because you'll say to yourself, "Gosh, I could have used that money to buy this other figure that I really wanted." And especially because the drone is able to be purchased separately. You don't have to buy the Spider-Man suit now in order to get the drone. But if you enjoy the homemade suit, if you want to add them to your collection, if you're like me and plan on buying every single Spider-Man that they ever make for 1/6 scale Hot Toys, then he's a necessity. But for the casual collector that just wants a Spidey in their collection, I don't see it being a necessary buy. You know what I mean? He tells such a small story to somebody who's not familiar with the collection. If, for instance, you've got someone visiting or whatever, they're showing off your collection or whatever, they look at this and they're like, "Oh, what is this? Some knockoff Spider-Man or something, some fake toy or whatever somebody made." If they're not familiar with it, they're not going to be familiar with it. But obviously, you look at a Spider-Man suit, specifically the red and blue classic Spider-Man suits, there's no question about who it is. I think people pretty easily can recognize Spider-Man for the most part. There's going to be that occasional person who has absolutely no idea the difference between Spider-Man and Superman, but this is definitely not a piece for somebody who doesn't want the piece. You know what I mean? So he's definitely a piece in and among himself, more or less. I love him. I loved my original that I owned when he first came out 2 years ago or whatever it was. So I'm happy to have him back in the collection. Let's see if he fits in the Detolf as such. Yeah, that fits. This fits. So I have him at the very tip top of the posing stand there, and you can see where this is wrapped around his waist. He comes right to the top of the bottom of the shelf, the above shelf. So it does fit in here just as such. That's the height of a Detolf shelf space for standard height of the Detolf or Detolf, however you say it. How would it be said correctly? Let's see. second vowel would make the first vowel long, right? So it should be D, DTOF. It should be DTOF, right? We've butchered our language so much. There's not very many American speaking experts of English. CBS Sci-Fi, thank you. I think it does look good with the web on the glass. Yeah, I think that would look cool. I think it would for fact look cool. No doubt about it. So let's see what else is going on. So Wasp is announced that it's starting to ship. They started shipping Ant-Man back a couple months ago, I think. So it's nice to see that they're now, a collection in that regards. The Boba Fett and the Lando Calrissian. What else is new? There's a collection of 1/6 scale Desert Eagles that are being sold now. What have I done different this week here in the 1/6 scale room? I put my Deathstroke over there on the Deadpool shelf and pulled out Cable and Deadpool 2. I need to find it. Swear to God, I need to buy more DTOFs to put them in. Deadpool needs his own set of DTOFs. He will not fit in the standard shelving of the DTOF, so you have to adjust your shelving to put Juggernaut in there. I love him. He's still available for sale at some stores. What's going on over here? I reorganized my Astromech shelf. When I put the Jawa and the Power Droid over there, the Gunk Droid. I guess that's all I got going on. What do you guys got going on? What are y'all working on? Anything new? I'm about to wrap this up. In case y'all have any questions, comments, suggestions, go to patreon.com if you'd like to support the channel. I've got nothing to give you for that except my eternal gratitude, and I would promote your name. I have some wonderful Patreon supporters. Thank you very much, my Patreon supporters. Thank you. I love you guys eternally. It would make you a producer of the show, literally. And I listen to everything that you guys say. I read every comment to probably 99% of every comment that's ever been given me. So I will respond back. I love getting fan mail, letters, correspondences. I have a P.O. box. I would be happy to receive yours. I would even read them aloud on the channel here. Very happy to get that. Gifts are great. I love my Jean-Luc Picard. Thank you very much. Thank you for Jean-Luc Picard. I love him. Oh my God. Thank you for that. You guys are great, man. You guys are amazing. Next time, baby. That's right. I am here every Saturday. I think only 2 Saturdays ever did I not show up for a video. So same time, you will see me here. I will be here next Saturday unboxing the War Machine Mark 6. www.patreon.com/Siri Emerald, SIRIEMERALD, to become a Patreon supporter. I don't post much on social media anymore. Social media is such a bad thing to get involved in. It's so hateful anymore. It's hard to find anything good in there. It's just turned into a giant hate-filled way of people complaining and bitching and moaning and groaning and everything. It's great for getting news, but it's so easy to get wrapped up And whenever you get into social media, they tie all of your friends together, and you can read all of their comments on every one of their channels and see everything that's going on. And it's just so easy to get wrapped up into the drama and stuff. And it's just, your life is better than that. You know what I mean? Your life is better than getting wrapped up into somebody's drama and getting angry and fightful and fighting and everything. And it's just a mess. So I don't post much to social media anymore. I do use social media. I communicate through the Facebook Messenger. You guys can reach out to me in that way as well. So, but I don't count on seeing me much at all in any type of social media. It's just a mess. It really is. It's not. It turned a good thing into a bad thing. I mean, for real. Instead of you just being able to keep in touch with your friends and what's going on, it's just become a way for people to fight and be hateful and spiteful to each other. And that's not cool. There's enough of that going on in the world as it is. We don't need to just continually poke each other in that regards. That just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. So I'm sorry that things have gone that way. It's just crying shame. It really is. It's too bad. But I do have a Facebook. I have a Twitter. I have an Instagram. Just don't expect much there anymore. Just tired of all of it. I'm tired of all the fighting. Just get over it, man. It's ridiculous. We're destroying our world, and ourselves, and our humanity. It's ridiculous. Thank you, Jake. Thank you. I think it's the first time you've been on the show. I'm glad to have you. Thank you, and definitely I'm happy to have you next week. And this is really your channel, you guys. You're welcome to talk about what you got going on, share ideas with each other, help each other out, anything you want. And I enjoy meeting up with you. It's so good to have you guys. And my wife is so eternally happy that we have this channel. When she died last year, and as she came back to herself, they were able to resuscitate her, and then she went into coma, and then she was in a vegetative state, and then she had to be re-educated, and her brain had to reconnect again, and it was like watching a child develop. If you have a baby and you see them as they discover the world, that's literally what her phases were of world discovery and learning how to walk and all of that all over again. And when she became herself again, she was eternally thankful that you guys were there for me. This is a family, and every one of you reached out to me in some way when all that happened. And she was so thankful to know that I had you when she couldn't be there for me. So she's eternally grateful for you guys. I'm eternally grateful for you guys. And reach out to me at any time you want, any way you want. And all the contact information is in the down there in the bottom. It's there right now. So reach out to me as you desire. I love you guys. See you next week. Thanks for collecting. Thanks for joining in. Patreon.com if you want to be a supporter. And I love you. Peace.